Hey guys, so I have always been intrigued by solar. Um, from a long time ago when it first came out and it was super expensive, to now more affordable solar panels, charge controllers, inverters, and the such. And I have always wanted to do solar. So now that I have a house in Central Texas with a family and our electric bill is outrageous, I really wanted to get into solar again. And when we build a house, we do have plans, long-term plans to build a house somewhere. I would like for it to run completely off grid, whether it's grid tie with solar, backup slash supplementation, or just completely off grid. I still want to have that option of, if something were to happen, we could run everything in our house without any assistance from grid type stuff, whether it be power, water, whatever. So this is how our journey begins with solar for us. Initially, the very first thing I did was I bought this top greener plug. So I just kind of wondered what watts were, what amps were, things like that. So I did a lot of research. I watched a lot of the Will Prowse videos. He's got a lot of good beginners stuff out there, which is really nice. So I just kind of wanted to see what some of our appliances were running. So I bought this top greener thing, put it on the fridge, put it on the Keurig, put it on the freezer, the heaters, stuff like that. So I just wanted to be able to see what watts we were actually using, because you see inverters out there that are 1,000 watts, that are 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 8,000. Like the Solark is a 12K, inverter. It's an all-in-one system. So like, what do I really need if I was going to do it for the house that I'm at now? And of course, had no idea. So the first thing I bought, like I said, was this top greener. And you can see I have a bunch of other top greener stuff. So let's go with the garage heater. So we wanted to see what I was burning. So right now I have in the garage the heater on, and what I like is you can see right there the amount of power that we're using. So that's the amount of watts, and then the current in milliamps, so that's 9.2 amps basically, and then the voltage, it's a 113 voltage. So we've been using this for a while, as you can see. I've actually put it on different things, like the refrigerator, like I said, the freezer, heaters, the Keurig. What else do we put? The charging stations. I actually have one on our TV entertainment center area. It's plugged into the wall, and we have one of those like 6-station power bars there to see what everything's running there. So just to look at our modems, I wanted to see what our modems and our routers were pulling as well, just to see what we're pulling. This little heater right here currently is on the high setting. It's on 2, and you can see it is pulling 1,000 watts. So so that was my start, just looking at stuff like that. And then I did a little research, and they have I think it's either HomeSense or SmartSense or something like that, has a watt meter that you can put in for the entire house. But I didn't really want to spend, it was like $300. So I bought this guy, this Emporia View 2, it's a Gen 2 version. You basically put it in your main panel, which is what I did. Our main panel is subdivided into 3 separate areas. It's divided into our main house, which there's a sub panel in our main house, our only house, but our main area, which is the house. There's a sub panel for the garage, and then it's not even a sub panel, it's just a breaker to the garage, and then a breaker that runs out to our well pump. So there's really only 3 different places that it runs out to. So what I wanted to do was just put something in there just to kind of see what the whole house is running, and see how much power we're using. And it was pretty interesting initially looking at all the different stuff. I do like this Emporia. You have different things you can put in there. So like your graphs, you can do by the minute, how much you've done by the minute, by the hour, by the day, the week, and obviously we haven't had it that long. We've only had it in for a couple of months, just looking at some stuff. But it's been an interesting thing to see. I was like a little kid whenever we first got it, going and flipping stuff on, turning the AC on, turning the heater on, and watching it spike up or whatever. So like this right here, I know just from looking at it, this little bump, that's my Keurig inside heating up right now, which is interesting because having this on, I realized like, why am I leaving the Keurig on all the time? So I actually got it set on a timer now where it turns on at 3 o'clock in the morning, because sometimes I have to get up at 3 to go to work. Most of the time I get up at 4, but every now and then I have to get up at 3. So it comes on at 3 o'clock and it actually goes off at 9 o'clock. Whereas before we would let it run until like 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night. But if I have any afternoon coffee, I'll just crank it back on. So, stuff like this made me realize how much power we're actually using on useless things like that. But I have a little log in my phone, so what I started doing was watching to see what we were using solar on, and it was just interesting. Let me pull it up here. Got some stuff I don't want y'all to see. Power consumption, there we go. So all of our power consumption, you can see, I don't know if that's a glare. Let's pull this over here so there's not a glare. You can see our well water pump is about 2,300 watts. And this is just watching the spikes to see where it is from the baseline, turning the water on and seeing that wattage pop up. Our hot water heater, about 2,000 watts. That was surprising to me how much a hot water heater pulls. The oven, 2,300 watts. Oddly, I haven't tested the dryer yet. Oh, our lights just went off. I haven't tested the dryer yet, so I need to do that. And the house heater as well. The air conditioner pulls about 7,000 watts, is what it spikes up to. So once its initial spike is gone, it actually just runs at about 3,000 watts. But that initial spike, that was interesting to see. It spikes up 4,000 watts higher than what it runs at. With all the burners and the cooktop on, I turned them all on. It's 11,000 watts. So that was crazy. And then just one of the small burners was 1,500 watts. And then at night, so we run. Looking now that we've turned some stuff off after noticing, what we're pulling, we're about 800 to 900 watts drawing at night. So that was just some little research that I did. They do make just like the Smart Sense or Home Sense or whatever it is. They do make individual connectors where you can connect them to each individual breaker, so you can divide it up into a whole lot of different ones, so you can separate everything out. It doesn't really bother me that much that it's just one set of lines coming in, because when your heater kicks on, you can see it spike, or when the air kicks on, you can see it spike. So yeah, it's okay for me. Currently with 6,000 watts, I've got a small heater in the bathroom going on. That's on. I have obviously the heater in the garage on. Our main heater is probably on. I'm not sure what that little spike is right there. But our heater has 2 fan modes. It's like a slow fan mode or a low fan mode, and then it's got kicks onto a high fan mode as well. So when it really spikes, you'll be able to notice it. It's not that little, which actually that's a 3,000 watt spike right there, 3 kilowatt spike. Because that's looks like from right around 6.5. You can see it on the side over here. It's going right around 6.5 up to almost 10. So that could have been the heater kicked on for a minute. But what really kicks on is the air conditioner, the compressor inside that air conditioner, man, when it kicks on. And then our well pump. So our well pump, when it kicks on, you can really see it. So yeah, so this is where we're starting. I do want to get some solar panels. I do want to get, initially maybe one of those cheap little grid tie inverters, just to be able to play around with it. Maybe get some batteries. I'm honestly probably what I'm going to do, and don't hate me for it, but I might just get a couple of marine batteries from Walmart. Some of the lead acid deep cycle batteries you can get. I think I saw, just doing some research, that you can get, sorry about those fluorescent light glares. I think you can get some the lead acid deep cycle batteries. I think they're 133 amp hours for 12 volts, and they're around $65 to $70. So I thought about just getting a couple of those, running them in series to get 24 volts. Everything I've seen says don't even go 12 volt. Like the cable size that you need, the amount of upsizing for everything else you need is not worth it. That it's worth it just to go to 24 volts, and that would set me back, you know, $180, less than $200, because there's a core fee and all that kind of stuff that you buy with all that crap. So so less than $200 easily for 24 volt battery, just to play around with. You know, I mean, I feel like it's not a waste of money because they are batteries that I could use for other things. They are deep cycle batteries, so you know, I could always run stuff in the garage off of them just to experiment. But yeah, so this is where we're going to start. Just watching wattage, stuff like that, and slowly accumulate some panels. I'd like to get one of those cheap, like $120 grid tie inverters, just to kind of see what it does. And actually what I want to do is plug it into this, that plugs it into an outlet, to see how many watts we're actually putting back into the grid. I don't know if power going into this will show a negative, or if it'll show a positive. I'm not quite sure about that, but I know that like this one, it's obviously showing a positive wattage because it's pulling watts through. So I don't know if there's a one-way thing like the little circle things that go around your lines in. There is arrows on that, and they have to be in the right direction to show that you're pulling a positive 11,000 watts. You can see the heater just kicked on. So we're running 11,000 watts. So yeah. And speaking of that, like that really surprised me, like how much you actually need. Like these little 3,000 watts. I was looking at those Grow Watt ones that are like 3,000 watts or something like that, thinking, oh, that's all we really need, you know. And my buddy just got 3,000 watts of solar on his house, an inverter and batteries and all that kind of stuff. I assume he has batteries, but maybe they're just the panels. But anyway, so he has that on his house, and it's 3,000. He said he's got 3,600 watts, so 3.6 kilowatts. And but for him, he's also feeding back to the grid, so he's getting money from what he's not using. So like at night, or not even at night. So yeah, it's interesting. So I'm gonna have to ask him a little more about that. But yeah, it's just amazing how many watts you actually use and not even realize it. So it makes you wonder, like, should you do propane for some of those things? Should we get like a propane hot water heater? Should we get a propane stove, you know, things like that, or a propane dryer? Because obviously that stuff is going to pull so many watts that you could really downsize your system. Or should you upgrade your system and do everything solar, knowing that propane, you could run out of propane. At some point, propane could get so expensive that it's not worth running that stuff on propane. So what do you guys think? Do you think that's a smarter thing, just to do all solar, all electric stuff, maybe higher efficiency stuff, or run your dryer, your hot water pump, and maybe your stove, run that off propane, hoping that it doesn't get super expensive for like a long-term, you know, we're gonna die in this house kind of scenario that we want to build. So our little dream home. But what do you guys think? Thanks for stopping by. Like I said, this is our intro to solar for the Hill Country Hands Homestead. Thanks, guys.